Time for information and publicity in the coming months.
Good afternoon, New Year. Happy New Year. We all made it, isn't it? We are all here. I know that we ended last year without as many press conferences. So I would like to brief you. My pressing family issues to also attend to that particular time. I'm very glad to invite this all over. And I'm back to you. And also part of the feminist revolution is back with our president having assumed his duties, his official duties, after a well-deserved leave, which was of course punctuated with a lot of statecraft, including regional diplomacy along the way, as he continues to uplift the name of Zimbabwe among African peers, but also on the global stage. I want to say that the star of our president, Dr. E.D. Mutsvangwa, His Excellency, the President of Zimbabwe, continues to rise. And it was a remarkable thing recently in Dar es Salaam when two major regional blocs sit together, the East African community and the Southern community, to try to address the issues of our important neighbor, the DRC, and their contentious acrimony with Rwanda. And all the heads of states who were there, including the President Museveni, the doyen of African unity, says it was only possible because Zimbabwe convened the meeting. Otherwise, we would not have such a meeting of African heads of states. So here we are, African solutions to African problems, and Zimbabwe being at the forefront of that mantra that we can solve our issues. And we are also very happy that in Mozambique the situation has calmed down. The president took his office of oath, and the detractors who were clamoring for regime change, Zimbabwe G40 style, are nowhere near any Maputo now. There are still some residual issues because we have a huge unemployment of young people. It's an African problem, and we need to address it. But by and large, we are very happy President Chapo is in charge. By the way, he is the first leader from Mozambique to come from an area contiguous to Zimbabwe. He comes from Sofala. And last time he was here, he and his moves with the Bira music, you could almost think that he could have been from this side of the border. So I think the relations between the two countries are going to take a very good turn, because our regional, our neighbor, in terms of politics, and in terms of provincial affinities with Mozambique, this is the first time we are aligned. Mozambique is a unitary state. Some come from the north, like Lucy, and a couple come from the south for some time. But we are happy that Central Mozambique is now President Chapo, and it is coming at a very timely time, a timely occasion, because the economic nexus, economic evolution between the two countries is going to get closer and get very, very exciting. The main reason why I'm here today is to address an issue which is topical, but which is perennial, and it is the issue of title deeds. You know that recently our president started issuing title deeds to the beneficiaries of our irreversible land reform from the year 2000. There's been some gnashing of teeth since he started doing that with the erstwhile holders of white title deeds from the settler colonial era, fretting that maybe the advent of the new title deeds impinges upon the global compensation agreement which they are negotiating with the government. I want, as a Zimbabwean citizen, because they are fellow Zimbabwean citizens, to assure them that our president negotiates in good faith. He negotiates according to the Constitution of Zimbabwe. And the Constitution of Zimbabwe says that they will be compensated for the loss of improvements on the land on which they were removed, not on the title, but on the improvements. Yes, negotiations are ongoing. We do have budget constraints, but some of the payments have started being given. And the main point is that our president assures our white compatriots in the global compensation agreement that he is negotiating in good faith. And whatever may arise out of that negotiation, which may be the basis of misunderstanding or contention, he is always happy to have it brought on the table so that as Zimbabweans, we do find a common solution to what is essentially a very contentious and difficult issue where history collides with the population matrix of the country and colonial era injustices meted out to our people. It's not an easy solution, but ZANU-PF has never been shy from addressing very difficult and difficult problems. As a party, we have a history, and we think a way will be found. Why am I raising the issue right now? We are aware, as a party, that since President Trump made an announcement about South Africa, about the land in South Africa, and we do have our opinions, but this is a matter which is now talking about between two nations, South Africa and Zimbabwe. We do have our opinions as Zimbabwe as a sister ruling party to ANC, but at a time like this, we prefer to keep our opinions to ourselves and try to let diplomacy get a chance to resolve contentious issues between two sovereign nations. So we want to abstain from an engagement in that debate, although there are affinities, but the affinities does not mean there's congruence. There's no congruence between Zimbabwe-led person and the South African-led person. The South African-led person has been treated as an internal matter between South Africans. We have a different land problem. Ours was a colonial imperial-led problem. There is a colonizing power which gave a charter to a private company called PSA Company to come to Zimbabwe and start possessing land. The charter was signed by the Queen of England, Queen Victoria, and it was given to Cecil John Rhodes. And an army was sent here to occupy Mashonaland and Matabeleland, away from Lopekula, our chief, away from Ashayamombe, away from all the other chiefs who later carried out the resistance against Cecil John Rhodes Marodin Pioneer Corps. So even when we fought, we knew that the legitimacy of this country was impinged upon by Britain. And towards the end of that, when we achieved an armistice, we had to go to London at the London House Conference to sign an armistice with the imperial power. And they had to restore their government to come and shepherd the transition process in Zimbabwe. Lord Soft. So the land question in Zimbabwe has got a colonial imperial nature which resides in London. It is not like the South African issue, which is an internal South African affair, because Afrikaners are Africans, and we consider them as Africans, and they also want to be considered as Africans. So this is the nuance which is different from the land question in South Africa. The reason we are saying so is that each time there is some rumpus in Washington about Africa, and the president of America is facing the prospect of having to renew the executive sanctions against Zimbabwe about this time of the year. You understand? A lot of excitement starts emanating from opposition sectors in Zimbabwe. And I don't know whether you have the news today, and you can see the opposition, Mr. Beat. He is now starting to make comments about title deeds, about Zimbabwe. And yesterday we know for certain that they convened a meeting in South Africa, at the South African, at the US Embassy in South Africa, all in an effort in trying to whip up emotions about title deeds and the land in Zimbabwe, so that somehow the oversight, which they believe is an oversight by Trump, when he singled out and called out South Africa, it can be corrected so that Zimbabwe somehow will be found in the words of the President of America. They just want Zimbabwe on the yoke. They just want Zimbabwe to become the attention of the American president. Gratuitously and unnecessarily. Why? Because they believe that if America can do something about Zimbabwe, it can speed up the prospect of them getting to power, sneaking through the back door of foreign support rather than through the front door of electoral politics in Zimbabwe. So these are Zimbabweans who are trying to stir up a situation between Washington and Harare, when Washington, for its best known itself and the American president, did not feel that there was an issue between Zimbabwe and Washington. So we have to put it on record. There are no parallels between the Zimbabwe land question and the South African land question. There isn't. And Mr. Beatty, you should stop trying to be peevish. That's what is new. This is like a child who always tries to cry when the aunt comes from town. And he knows that the aunt is coming in February because sanctions are going to be removed. So I must somehow get the attention of the American president. And they were also trying to galvanize the Zimbabwean farmers, white farmers, some of them, to become part of this bandwagon. So they were being forced to go to South Africa and join this movement to say somehow Zimbabwe must be included in the bilateral dispute which is now broken out between Pretoria and Washington. No, we are a sovereign country, our issues are different, and we would like to keep our relations with America as best as they can be, even under the circumstances. And our sincere hope is that President Trump, who is going to be made to remember the executive order of sanctions against Zimbabwe, may actually be made to forget them when the day comes in March, and the executive order is not renewed. This is the ball of contention. This is what's calling it. But it's not only him. This agitation may also involve Xavier Kashukwere. He is part of this lobbying of the whites in Zimbabwe to try and become part of this nonsensical galvanizing of negative American policy on Zimbabwe. He is involved, Kashukwere, in these frantic efforts. We know because some of the Afrikaners who are engaged in that process, they are not happy at trying to drag the Zimbabwe issue into what is essentially a different problem in South Africa. You may want to know that Afrikaners are Africans. They do have an affinity for the continent, which has been their home for the past 400 years. That's why they're called Afrikaners. And it is interesting that even when they were being offered to become refugees in America, saying, well, we are happy here, we may have our issues, but we are happy in Africa. So some of them have a lot of goodwill. And they are the ones who are saying to Zimbabwe, please, can you keep your dogs at home? We don't want them to come and spoil the issue in South Africa. So we have inside information coming from those who are in the Afrikaners. And they have an anecdote. They say there are two major peoples of Southern Africa who fought modern wars against the British. The Afrikaners in the war 1900 to 1904, and they lost. And Zimbabweans who fought in the 1960s and 70s, and they won. So we have had a common enemy before, the fellow Africans, the Africans. It's not difficult to find a unity with each other on many issues. So they come to us and tell us what some of our mischievous nationals are trying to do, because it is the month of March and February. It is the month of, it's a late season in politics because of the prospect of the executive order of the American president on sanctions against Zimbabwe. He probably let it to slide away. This is their view. So I wanted to make it clear to you that as Zimbabwe, we have no issues which should be dragged into the South African affair. But more than that, our president, as I said earlier on, he is constantly looking for the optimal way in which the legislation can be made to address injustices, to also compensate, but also to make it productive. For some time, we have been looking at models from other countries which will consider how our land question can eventually be optimally resolved. Surprise, surprise. There has been an engagement for quite some time, including with the late parents' chief, Honorable General, was the Minister of Agriculture, with, of all countries, Germany. Germany has got a template about land reform, which could very much apply to our situation, because the German template of land reform after the unification of Germany in 1929, remember there was this Germany and West Germany, they had to go through a land reform which is to address what had happened, including the communist dispossessions after Germany became part of the Soviet Union. So they layered a layer of contradictions in their land policy, which they had to resolve after the unification. And they created a bank, I think it's called BVVD, to resolve those issues. And the beauty about their solution was that because there was no king appointing, there were Germans coming together, it was holistic and inclusive. I think it is called BVVG. It's called the German Land Reform Agency, and it is led by Mr. Hence Excellent for Annual. He is what this land reform program has done good to Germany. And at the end of it, it has resolved all the issues among the Germans from the east and from the west, and for those from the past and from the future. All the conflicting land titles were resolved to the extent that now the bank itself is even profitable. So this solution has been before the Zimbabwean government when the competition was there, and there may be an interest to see whether we can go the same way. Why are we highlighting this? Is the president continuously looks at the optimal way to resolve land issues in such a manner that we can maintain productivity, raise profitability, increase viability, but at the same time address both colonial injustices and issues of compensation for those who may have bought the land, who may have developed it when they were not the original colonized or occupiers of the land. This is why I keep emphasizing that the president is acting in good faith. And my appeal to white Zimbabweans, those who are being tempted to go to the G40 meeting at Bedwap, is to stop it. Please, let's come and talk at home. Don't try to stay in the court in order to please foreign interests which are fleeting, because at the end of the day, we still have to confront those problems when the situation is not properly resolved at home. Let's look for definitive solutions here at home and outside. So this is our appeal to our white community. Don't be abused by failed politicians of the type of Mr. Tedakit and Mr. Kasukwe. Incidentally, they are also trying everything to see whether they can cause commotion within ZANU-PF, the same people. They don't want to form their own parties and build them and disintegrate the community. And this young man, since he possesses a party which was founded and who, when he was in his mother's womb, Kasukwe, he thinks he is the owner of that party, and now he is given the merit to start calling out for what he considers his goals in ZANU-PF. I do hope that those comrades who are being called as goals by Kasukwe will have the courage to stand up and say we don't have anything to do. Because he's starting to sprinkle some names, including very important, very, very high-level names, to say they are part of his bandwagon. He is desperate to somehow tempt and tantalize America and Trump to come and do something about spam. When it was the Biden administration, they knew each other from the time when sanctions were passed in 2002. Biden was one of the signatories of this therapy. Clinton was one of the signatories of this therapy. Obama was one of the signatories of this therapy. So they were comfortable with the Democrats who were in America because they were fellow bandwagoners. They were in the same bandwagon about sanctions against Trump. Now, Trump is a wild boar. We don't know. So they are fretting about where the dice may fall this time. That's why this is such an agitation. And it is coming at a very wrong time. There was an institution which was so busy stirring up bad politics in this country. It was called USAID. It operated from the American Embassy. And it operated autonomously from the American Embassy. It was American foreign policy privatized since 1961. And USAID was this complex for all sorts of Canada. And I don't know how many people have lost their paychecks. I know some among you have lost their paychecks. Because Trump comes and then Elon Musk comes, he says, close the door, shut the website, all the cover for nonsensical things, we're doing health and this, all that, they are not interested. We know what we're doing. So USAID has been shut globally. And it is a very conservative politics. So there's a lot of national teeth for those who were beneficiaries from the USAID. What am I saying is that the regime change agents in Zimbabwe are on the defensive. They hold their foot in the back because of what has happened to USA. That also explains why this assumption of energy and appearance of being anti-Dumpty on issues which are ZANU-PF, including, of course, trying to abuse one of our comrades whom they are constantly putting on television for this or for that. Some of the issues are now subject to, I can't comment on it, but all I can say is that some of the intelligence which is being given is definitely wrong. He mentioned the other day that my son was incarcerated by the president. It's not true. I told you I had an interview with him today. I know who was behind the incarceration of my son, in the forced incarceration in May last year. And I know why this is why it was being done, the political reasons why it was being done. The president had nothing to do with it, and he had to come back and undo that thing, but undo it in a manner which did not arouse anxieties that may be interfering in the constitution. So it had to be a long drawn out affair. But me, my wife is the Minister of Women Affairs. We know that the president nothing to do with it. So bombshell is wrong. Comrade bombshell is wrong to try to accuse the president. It's not true. Rather, the people who are telling him to go on television are the ones who are behind the persecution of So I'm surprised for a field combat officer. He normally has got very good intelligence because he wouldn't have survived the war. He's a guerrilla fighter if his intelligence was faulty. I don't know why he is being misled by even chicken. It's in intelligence prosecutors. What is being given is called chicken. That my son was incarcerated by the president, and that I should not have a relationship with the president because he incarcerated my son. It's not true. I want to put it on record. And I just want to say, I worked with him very well when the war veterans association. He was in charge of my business unit. And together we are the ones who put for Manise, the steel plant to be there with him. He was the promoter of that business unit. That steel plant today is making ArcelorMittal in South Africa close. We are now the champions of steel in Southern Africa. I was at ArcelorMittal 2-3 weeks ago, meeting with the executives. We are now looking at how the two countries, two sectors can coalesce because Zimbabwe has stolen an edge in terms of steel production in sub-region, perhaps in sub-Saharan Africa. I did that project with a lot of support from the war veterans. It is one of the reasons why we fell out in Mugabe, because he didn't want that project since 2014. Comrade Geza was my team, was my business development manager. All I can say to you, we are making new headway about Manise. We are going to become a major steel fabricator downstream for Southern Africa. A lot of widgets shall be made in Zimbabwe for the Zimbabwe market, for the regional market, and for the global market. And the South African car industry, which uses a lot of steel, is salivating in the prospect of having good quality virgin steel from Zimbabwe. And you know the South African car industry is big. So there are very good reasons why we may come together with South Africa and make the railways talk to each other, make the roads talk to each other, have a common tariff regime between the two countries. Because pound for pound in the whole world, there's no region which should produce steel cheaper than Southern Africa. All the resources for making steel in Southern Africa are within proximity. Our competitors are Chinese. They have to get their steel from Brazil 12,000 kilometers away. They've got to get their iron ore from Australia 8,000 kilometers away. They've got to get their coal, their iron ore from South Africa 10,000 kilometers away. They get some of their nickel from Indonesia 4,000, 6,000 kilometers away. And China still becomes the cheapest steel producer in the world because of their cheap power, energy which they have. In Southern Africa, not only are all these things within proximity, and I'll surprise you, at Manise, the mine is 7 kilometers from the blast furnace. 7 kilometers from the blast furnace. So in terms of input costs to produce steel, no country should be better than Zimbabwe. And the coking coal is only 500 kilometers away from Wangi. And if we have a straight line, it can even be shorter, between the Manise, and it will come, that railway line. So if we have all these ingredients for making steel within close proximity, and then we have the Zambezi River, with all its cataracts from Victoria Falls to Panankua and Balajemi in Mozambique, using the same water several times to generate electricity. Then we have the Cabo Delgado gas in Mozambique, and maybe the prospect of Zarabani gas. So we should also be able to match energy costs, even outmatch some of China. So if we work together with South Africa, we should dictate the price of steel on the global market. This is the direction which our President Ramaphosa are taking, and it will be the main agenda of the new year. How we integrate our two economies using the steel industry. Because there is a template in history. 3 times Germany and France fought along their border for Alsace and Lorraine because they were fighting for coal and steel and iron ore. 1870, 1914, 1939. 1951, after the Second World War, they saw their fall. They decided to have a Franco-German steel union, and they started cooperating. The EU today comes out of that union. So we have got some good things to learn again from the Germans. We want South Africa and Zimbabwe to work together in the steel sector. And we have also the Mozambique in the logistics just like Rotterdam was bringing the logistics to the steel industry of Europe. So this is the way we want to go. The agenda of the president is going to shift away from this useless heat about who should be the successor or not, because that was resolved at Bulawayo conference. And if ever there is a way to go, it will be another congress by the party, as the president said, he will not allow it. But we don't want to be given agendas by people who want to hoist succession agendas as a perpetual item agenda. It's unfair and cause confusion. No. The president won't go back to work. And you saw it in his minister's address when he opened cabinet a few days ago. So this is where we are going, with the president. It is to make sure that we refocus, we have to address burning issues which will make Zimbabwe be a modern country. And because steel is to what countries are, that food to human beings is steel to nations or countries. We now have steel. There's nothing to stop Zimbabwe from going forward. We are also looking at the prospect of forming a business council, a southern business council with the and we are going to tap on the global exposure of renowned African businessmen, because they are Africans. Some of them have done well. Elon Musk has done well. Koos Baker, the one behind Tencent in China, has done well. We have many others, Andre Pina, who works for Space Shuttle. Space Shuttle in America. This is the cadre of African businessmen from this continent. We have done well. So we would want to take on the success of the African as well as the global stage. But this time we want them to apply their expertise to make sure that Africa gets the capital which it needs. We want them, Africa has become the avatars of capital for Africa. Then we are working on having a high-level SADC business council, which may include the likes of your advocate. You know that each time you are in the international duty-free shop, you see a lot of those brand names. They come and call Richmond from Switzerland. The owner is your advocate from South Africa. This is the success of Afrikaners in business at the global stage. And we want them to be part of the new African success. Because Africa needs capital. We need capital in Africa. So these are, I'm giving you pointers, because these are matters which the president is very much alive to when he talks with his South African counterpart, also when he talks with his Mozambican counterparts. We want the development agenda back, not useless noise about who should succeed from where exactly. As if we have a Congress, and the president says, if you are eligible, go to the Congress. Don't want to be anointed. Kasumeri wants to anoint somebody from outside. He's not even getting go around. So by and large, these are issues which I thought I need to address. I strayed into other areas, but the main thing is that we want our white population to keep faith in His excellence about the global compensation agreement. We don't want them to be strayed away from the good faith which is necessary to make that process succeed. We don't want them, especially by fellow travelers who are in CCC, era to CCC, but also some ambitious miscreants who used to be ZANU-PF are now G40s. We don't want our white population. They should keep faith in the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe. And we should work together in good faith to look at optimal solutions so that then Zimbabwe can resolve historical issues, address compensation issues, and deliver prosperity to the people of Zimbabwe. Because I was being told by the German expert I told you I referred to earlier on from that BVG. He said there are two countries whose agricultural sales are known for their fertility. One is Ukraine, which is under land mines, and the other one is Zimbabwe. Our land productivity is legendary. It is the staff of agronomists in some of the most prestigious institutions of tropical agriculture in the world. including the Dutch talking about this issue about Zimbabwean soils and their products are legend. We want them to deliver that prosperity to the people of Zimbabwe. So, on that note, I want to say we are very happy with you coming along. And by the way, Elon Musk is now a cabinet minister in Trump's government. Go back when the issue of Stalin was alive. Our president negotiated and got Stalin in Zimbabwe. Direct, not through a switch of a particular gentleman who wanted to become the agent of Stalin in Zimbabwe. The argument for my president was saying, well, if Stalin comes like the son from God, and if Stalin comes like men from God, why should it come through the switch of a certain particular cellular company? I am the one who is elected. That's why he signed the license himself. Because he is the representative of the people to vote in Zimbabwe. Because Stalin is like descending on Zimbabwe like God's gift. So let the man who is elected be the one who is the signatory to the license. So Elon Musk is probably very happy from a business point of view in Zimbabwe. This country, his company is doing very well. I hope all of those who are in the rural areas now can also help to Starlink, and very soon I'm told Starlink will become even on our SIM cards. You won't even have to have that, to have a landing park. So we do have someone who is in the cabinet of Trump who may not be necessarily happy about Zimbabwe. And this is what is holding those in the opposition and in the G40 who felt that they had to go into what when the Democrats were in charge, just as well that woman Harris lost with Zambia, I think.
Are there any questions?
Since 1975, we were together with Chimoyo, we trained together, we fought together. We went for additional training in Romania, I went for additional training in Geza. And we worked very well together. I just now got a lot of angst about where he's been now. Like people who obviously put an agenda. And like I say, my advice to him is that we've unfinished work. Prospects are just opening up. Easy, we started production. There's a lot who's going to change about the life of people. Young people are going to be this still product for the global market because all they now need is machines from Japan, from Korea, from China, from Turkey. With them Turkish delegations here, they want to do production in Zimbabwe. These are modern, high quality jobs for our young people. Barry was working from 7 to 5. And then people go to relax. And on Friday they get their paychecks and they go and enjoy the nightclubs. We have the workforce, an epic workforce right out there because of what's happening in the state sector. So, public function. I don't know the other issues which may be bothering you, but definitely we the workers and always remember to do what we should do. We don't want to be there. We don't want to be there. I think my friend, so I would angst about what is happening to me. That's all I can say. And those who are listening, I want to tell you, most of them are good. But we're right. I don't see them in the right arms for him. I'm used to learning my cookies. You are not aware of 1970, 1970. You are taking it out, still there in the part of the party headquarters. Vachida kunyika kutora history vamachekupa sana besa corruption. Bribe is courthouse as a general complaint and abuse. Vamwe vacho kutaurira wodi yanga iri kuMozambique vakazouya kuMozambique vachibva kuTanzania kutraining. Vanga vari kutraining kuTanzania hakufiwi, kutraining hakusiko kuna chikweya hakufiwi. Kwatakanga tiri kuMozambique kufurani kunofiwa. So some of them wakaita survive vari mudzimwe vasiri muhondo who attended the war but did not fought it are the ones that kuda kuita their titles as comrades. In fact, for your own information, that was what was the main problem in 2017. An attempt to usurp, to remove the leadership of the army, war leadership of the army. Vakanga vari kuMozambique nevamwe vakanga vari kuchikoro zvetraining in Tanzania. I won't mention my names, but we have an army which fought, it has integrity, it is committed to Zimbabwe people, and it will always stay committed to Zimbabwe people. But every day, vekuami vazoti vakunoziya vanhu vada kunyepera kwakudini. We know that army because some of us never left Mozambique from day 175 when the war started. Ichitangwa nevanhu vakabva kuTanzania kumapindu vakauya neshipinozi mapinduzi 700 vakatitrena isusu vakauya kumusha kuzotanga hunde vabva kumuganga. Ndo maheroes atinoziva vanhu vehondo. But everybody vanoti vakapfekedzwa uniform mazuva ano vakuda kusvita hatifiri kunge mageneral. Takairwa hondo ibedoitrace inoicha vafa white farmers white farmers vari muZimbabwe vechirungu. Muri kutaurirana napresident pane nyaya yeglobal compensation agreement. Muri kutaurirana semaZimbabwes. Tine goal rekuti nyika yakakunza yakunomu iriyo yaitonga mazuva ayo yainzi Britain, iriyo yakakutumai yakasimuka yokutiza iyi. Saka iye zvino sevanhu vagara muZimbabwe, sevanhu vechizvarwa chemuZimbabwe, tiri kutaurirana pachedu kudai taita sei tawirirana. Musaseenzeswe nanaiti nanakasweri vane hondo dzavo dzekuti dai Amerika yaramba yakadzvinya huru yakabata yakabata Uropa muZimbabwe. Tasvika muna March 5 gore rino, president waAmerika ari kutarisirwa kuti masanctions aya anonzi eZimbabwe angangoti akakanganwa musi iwoyo kana achina bake Mr. Trump angangokanganirwa. Saka vari kutyanya biti kuti pamwe president waAmerika angakangana. Saka vari kuedza kuvhurumutsa kuti wewe kuna masanctions eZimbabwe dai waasaina. Ndosaka vari vakukumbudzana nekuvarungu vomuZimbabwe kuti munoseenzeswa kupinda nyaya dzemuSouth Africa dzavari kunetsanawo nenyaya dzekuSouth Africa dzakasiyana netsika. South Africa haina kumbogara ine colonial power. Isu muZimbabwe taive colonial power inonzi Britain, United Kingdom. Ndo yatine godo nayo. Ngatinadziridzei nyaya dzedu pachedu chakafudza dzepachii mateka. Does it make you happy?
Zvakanyanya.
Okay. Comrade Mutsvangwa, what is the party's position regarding the statements made by committee member and war veteran Comrade Geza towards the president? He's saying the president must leave now. I'm sure you're aware of the press statements which he's making.
I've issued a statement about that, so you on record. And I'm sure that our disciplinary organs of the party are assisting the matter. It's not my domain, and I don't want to jump ahead of the competent party organs which are on that matter. So that's why I was prepared to talk about my past in function, to talk about what we have done with steel, but I was not prepared to deal with these other topical issues. Any other question? one last announcement. Check. It will be next end of this month. In fact, let me read. These are the achievements of Geza. This is breaking news. This letter is written to the executive of Zimbabwe Diesel Company, the one in Ghana. It is coming from an organization called Top 100 Emerging Global Business 2025. This month, end of this month, 28 February to 1st March, they are giving awards. Do you know where they are being given? The House of Lords in London. And who is one of the qualifiers? Dinson Steel Zimbabwe. Top 100 Emerging Global Business 2025. These are the strides which President Nangagwa is making for this country. This is in the House of Lords. This is not in Beijing, China. This is in the House of Lords in London. So let's not distract our president from doing things which Africa has never seen before. You can check. I'll give you a website. I will probably be going there because I've been part of this project with the president. Still project since 2014. This is when I tell you that I sell on the time, so you know how many trucks are leaving Manise every week to go to South Africa to deliver steel people? 150. You understand? 150 trucks going to South Africa to deliver steel from Zimbabwe. The shoe is in the other leg, isn't it? The shoe is in the other leg. We are also exporting a modern, high quality product to our neighbors, South Africa. Beneficiated product. That's why I was impressed to see synergies which will come between Pretoria and Harare in the Orient project steel sector. Try to focus on things which have consequences. I don't know whether that is I'm not being changed, but I'll try to give it attention. Can you wait for minutes? Another person.
That chirongwa chachagara chiri kubereka chatosipidha kuchema chamawakonde
I know that the president has been insisting on the issues of war veterans, and a lot has been done by the president about the war veterans. And incidentally, on all these projects which I'm talking about, because I'm the driver and I wish to be the chairman of the war veterans, I'm very much seized with what will happen to the war veterans, because they were the promoters for some of these major projects. The steel project in particular, war veterans have been on it since 2014. We are going to have a town of 150,000 people in the next 5 years. We have to connect the railway line from Manise to the South African railway system. Because right now 150 trucks carrying steel to South Africa are destroying the world. We need the railway back. These are major projects. We have to get the ports in Mozambique to function. Because Manise is going to 10 million tons of steel per year. We will be bigger than in what Ukraine was. These are projects which are going to urbanize this country. Nothing urbanizes the country, no, they move from rural people to town people. Steel is the major factor of urbanization. Look at the infrastructure which China is providing. It's because of steel. Now we have it in Zimbabwe since the beginning of this year. On a scale 10 times bigger than Cisco, 20 times than Cisco. So there are opportunities now for my war veterans because they were the champions. One of the reasons why they fell out with Mugabe was because he was refusing these projects. So I said to the war veterans, I am alive to what you did. I may not be in government, but I may be part. And I know the business networks which I involved. That's why I was at ArcelorMittal in South Africa with the CEO and the chairman of ArcelorMittal. I have the network to make these things move forward. That's why we are going to London to go and present to get this award. So let's not lose faith in each other. Let's keep faith in each other. It may have taken us too long. Unfortunately, some of the war veterans in high positions who are most opposed to this project, who are associated themselves with opposing this project, are the ones who are misleading the other war veterans to say, I'm not terminating on a president, I'm not terminating on a president. I will tell you, in this 2-3 months ago, a major security institution wanted to close Manizi. The accusation, preposterous. They are not producing steel, they are digging gold. It's smuggling because they are Chinese. I mean, chemistry becomes Chinese. You put gold nuggets in steel pellets. You know the periodic table. But in organization, actually, it descends upon Manizi and starts threatening everybody. They're left, right, and center. A project which the president has been promoting since 2013. He was furious about it. And just like over my son's issue, and maybe over that issue, it's has fallen with some of the bureaucrats who thought they were bigger than their president. We saw bureaucrats who sit in very high positions. But what have to do about that? The president is aware, I think.